Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Akmal bin Iman. So my reflection regarding the webinar session titled Gamification versus Game-Based Learning is I learned a lot about the differentiation and implementation of gamification and game-based learning. Before start, Penal 1 Century Coviesto mentioned his journey where do not scare to fail because eventually it become a milestone to achieve success in the future by learning from the mistake. Also, he encouraged people to take initiative to approach any opportunity to success in this gaming industry. First of all, similarity and difference between gamification and game-based learning is gamification typically a layer on top of an existing mechanic. For example, if the student has a good behavior in the class, teacher give a star to them, and after reach 10 stars, they can watch a movie. So it gamifies something that already should be there that might be dull, and gamification make it more enjoyable. Game-based learning is a real-life phenomena. For example, particle physics, where the game use the same tool to manipulate particle physics in order to crack how the electron, neutron, and proton interact with each other. It is interesting and solid way of using game-based learning connected with a game mechanic that resonate real-life mechanic. That is how to build an understanding how the real-life mechanic really work. For example, City Skyline is a very detailed simulation connect all different game mechanic to a real-life management mechanic and have a great amount of complexity out of the game. It allows players to learn about hyper-complex topic. Even students in the class can figure out managing the city compared to the city mayor. Game-based learning have truly potential to disrupt how people teaching a skill. Skill hardly integrated to the classroom, but when there are come topic, then can be connect to the game mechanic, and game mechanic also can teach skill. These skill learning apps can be sold with games. In the other hand, gamification is very easy and convenient, but the game-based learning required an understanding of what is happening in the game and the game mechanic. Thus, game-based learning is much more difficult thing to grasp. There is no telling if either one of them is bad or not because each of them has a purpose. Gamification has opportunity to keep user motivated doing things and build a good routine and also can boost their motivation. And motivation increase learning outcome and it is positive in that context. At the same time, game-based learning enable learning and demonstrating hyper-complex phenomena and also teach user a higher order skill. But if it is not assigned properly, the game can be so difficult that it is hard for the user to approach and the learning opportunities will be go away. So, important to note that any game developer or game studio when designing this type of game need to think about what kind of objective that they want to achieve, whether it's something, for example, for the course, whether the participant to actually learn something from the course and want to participant to better at it through repetition or through practicing, then this repetition and practicing gamification might be useful for implementation. But for the developer that want participant to learn, then game-based learning method will be useful to them for apply into the game development. Game-based learning can be integrated with a gamification element. First of most is to have an age-appropriate content and have a limit to touch a complex topic like a crime and drug addiction to the game. If developer can focus in a good game ideation, then they can identify the content, approach and letter in the design. The note here that need to look out for the implementation is going to the right flow. If a game created is too hard, user can get anxiety, while if the game is too easy, user become bored. So need to fine tune everything like giving enough challenge, enough reward in order to stay in the flow zone and not go over it or too little about it. So in conclusion, people nowadays already been brainwashed about the school and college, which often about books, paper, exams. So instead, a government can start apply the game-based learning to give a good reason why this kind of game can be played for learning purpose. Many countries need to implement the game-based learning in addition of the gamification element for education subjects so that the learning can be very interactive and fun to know the topic. Thank you very much.